Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the LPGA MEDIHEAL Championship Media Center. It's my pleasure to be joined by Rolex Rankings number 9, Yeon Ryu. She's a 6-time winner, 2-time major champion. Yeon, welcome back to Lake Merced. How does it feel to be back in the Bay Area?
Always fun to come back here. I love this area. Well, it's a little cold. It's not the weather, to be honest, it's not the weather I'm expecting. But first of all, I enjoy this golf course a lot. This golf course have a lot of character. I think you better to know hit like so many type of different shot, and then just atmosphere is really great here. So hopefully I can have a good week and enjoy this Bay Area.
You had a top 20 finish here last year. How does this course set up for you more specifically?
I haven't played yet, so I don't know how the golf course looks like right now. But normally we do have a sort of narrow fairway and then thick and long rough. So it's always important to having a really, really great tee shot. Like I said, a lot of the holes are dog leg, and a lot of the hole have a lot of characters. So you better to know how to draw. You better to know how to fade, and then I think iron shot play is really important as well, because green's quite big, and then even though you're on the green, if you're in the wrong position, it could be better to chipping instead of putting. So I would say it's a really good golf course for the ball striker.
You had a top 10 finish in Hawaii and then a top 20 last week in LA. Do you feel like your game's coming together this season?
Yeah, I really feel like my game is getting there. I just feel like everything's right there, and then I just really need to mix all the ingredient at the right position, right way. But to be honest, it was really frustrated, and then after I played A&A Inspiration, I felt much better. And then after having a week break before I played Lotte, I had a lot of time. I was thinking about like my game. I was thinking about my life. I was thinking about my behavior, and then I realized I wasn't really fully confident. So these days, I'm really telling myself, "You're a great player," instead of like, "What can I do better?" So I try to be very polite to myself.
Oh, I wanted to ask, Yeon, we see the MEDIHEAL logo on your hat, on your chest. What does it mean to have one of your main sponsors support an LPGA event?
Oh yeah, feels really good about it, and then I'm very honored to represent their brand. And then they've been supporting the women's golf a lot, and they're about to launch their brand in North America as well. So hopefully, this tournament gonna help them a lot to make people aware of this brand. And then like this brand is already really popular in Asia, so hopefully they're gonna doing great in North America. And I think they picked the right tournament, they picked the right golf course, they picked the right area. I'm looking forward to many people gonna come out here and then see their product and then enjoy the LPGA players as well.
Great. We'll go ahead and open it up for any questions you might have. We'll start with Beth Ann.
I'm just curious what you've been working on with Cameron, and did he have anything to say about your confidence, or did that just sort of come from you?
Yeah, actually, we didn't really try to change the swing or anything, but just I think I was doing something wrong, and then I just got loss of confidence, and the swing was a little off. And then like every time when I say something negative, he tried to correct that as a positive way. So he definitely helped me out a lot to consider myself as a good player instead of the player who has a problem with it.
So where are you on that? You still telling yourself that now?
Yeah, like for example, let's say if I missed a shot, like my first reaction was like, how can I hit that kind of shot? But right now I'm just more looking to, I made the right decision, I did my best, but I just missed it. But we're a human being, sometimes some of the thing is out of control. Let's just don't put me down and then try to focus on the next shot. But I think what I did last few weeks, even before maybe Lotte or A&A, I was more like, I just tried to find the problem to why I hit the shot instead of focus on what can I do for the future. So when you keep doing that, you started to losing a confidence, and you started to become like more negative person instead of positive person. And I always thought one of my strongest thing was just thinking positive instead of thinking negative. So I think I was just a bit lost.
Thank you.
We'll go to Ron.
I'm curious if you can talk about sort of the top of the game, the top players, and much like the men's tour, seems like there's always a debate. Is it better to have one or two dominant stars, or to have a bunch of players capable, which is what it seems like it is now? And women's golf's had Annika, Lorena, Inbee for a while. What do you think? Is it better for the game if there's a sort of an emerging star like that?
Well, actually, I had that question quite a lot these days. Like, a lot of the people ask me, like, back then we had like Kari Webb, Sarah Park, like Annika Sorenstam, like three trio as always like, competing each other. But these days, like you said, like maybe at least 10 to 20 players competing each other. Like, I think that means just players' depth is really, I would say, more deeper than before. So as that way, I don't think it's really bad to have this kind of like trend, but I think to having really good ambassador is really important as well. But I'm not saying, even though a lot of players' ability seems like really similar, nobody's really like super great. If I feel like average ability is a little higher than before, like 10 years ago or like 5 years ago. So I think it's still positive. And then we started to have better golf course. We started to have more tournaments. So if we can have this good atmosphere, I think one day probably we can have someone like dominating on the tour for a long time, probably.
We'll go to Barry in the middle there.
We saw you shoot the 63 here a couple of years ago, course record. I don't think anybody's ever come close. It was cold. It was early morning. It was kind of wet. You said before that you don't like cold. Clearly, you have an advantage because you play well in it. You talk a little bit about that.
Well, actually, having that experience helped me out a lot to play this golf course, because when you have a really, really good experience with something, like you can get an extra confidence. So, like you said, when I shot 9 under, it wasn't really sunny. It wasn't really like perfect condition. It was a bit of wet. It was a bit of cold, but I was still able to shot 9 under. So I can tell myself I know how to play this golf course. So I don't need to worry about any kind of condition. What I need to do is just focus, and I know I'm capable to make a lot of birdies out here.
We saw you on the range earlier today. Have you made an equipment change?
Yeah, actually, I've been using Honma for 10 years, and then my contract finished in February. But because I also had a tournament in the February, I couldn't I couldn't test any other equipment. So right now, I don't think I'm gonna change everything for this season, because changing equipment is not really easy process. But at least because I only used Honma for like 10 years, I never really tried any other company's equipment. So I just want to see like what kind of like club they have, then what's the difference between like this brand and that brand. So it's gonna be interesting what kind of club I'm going to play next season.
So, Yeon, is there anything you do off the course to kind of boost your confidence level a little bit?
I would say just reading a book a lot. I think I learn a lot through the book. These days, I read a book, Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, and then even though what she studied and what she did was different than what I'm doing, but I think it's still same. Like the core is same. Like even though it's a little different topic, I think I can still learn something from them. So I really enjoyed it right now. And then after I read a book, I always try to writing a journal, like what I'm thinking. And then if I think anything negative, I just write it down. And then I just try to think that's necessary, think or not. And then I sort of can realize myself what I'm thinking about these days. And then if it's necessary, I will take it. If it's unnecessary, I just throw it away. So reading a book and then writing a journal helped me a lot to being more confident and positive.
We'll go to Ron here.
If I can ask one more question that you probably get a lot, but if you look at the rankings, obviously the dominance of players from Korea, I think 7 of the top 16, 9 of the top 20 in the rankings. For those of us who don't see the tour every week, why do you think that is for a country that obviously doesn't have an overwhelming population? Why do you think so many great players have come from your country?
First of all, I think we always had a really, really good role models, starting with the Seri Pack, like Grace Park, Jie Shin, Inbi Park. These days, like Sangyeon Park, Yeon Ko. We always have a really good player, and then I think it's really important to have idol star who you can look up to, and also, like you said, my country is not really that big country. The population is also not even half as China or like America. We're a very small country. So when you're seeing your country girls just like dominating on the tour, you are able to dream about it. Like, if she can do it, I have a chance. So I think that's one of the really important thing. And another thing is like my sponsor, MEDIHEAL, they're not only just like sponsoring me, they also host a tournament in US as well. So we have a really, really great support from all the Korean companies. Like, our life looks really fancy. We are traveling. We are going to Europe. We are going to Asia, but that means our expenses quite, expensive as well. So if you don't have that kind of support, if you only have to rely on prize money, that's not a lot of pressure, I think, because prize money is not guaranteed money. It always depends on your performance. It's very unpredictable. So having really good support from our country just makes our country girls help me out to focus on golf instead of thinking about any other thing.
Can you convey how important golf is in Korea, especially women's golf?
I think I cannot explain this without Seri. We had an IMF in 1997, 1998, that period of time, and then Seri Pack won the U.S. Men's Open in 1998. Then that one inspired Koreans a lot. Like, our country girls just rock it out there in the world. Even though we really struggle, if we're, working hard, if we're putting all the effort together, we can go through this. So I think since then, just women's golf become like really like hope icon for the Korean. Like, like when your country girls or like country boys doing really great at the Olympic or something, you sort of just feel like, even though you never met them, you feel like, that's my girl, that's my boy. You can have more confidence. I think Koreans seeing women's golf as a little that way. Like, we're not really big country, but like when Samsung's doing well with the phone in the world, when golfers doing really well in the world, so they just really proud of see them.
Any further questions for Soyeon? All right, best of luck this week. Thank
you.
you.